I'll eat them. I'll just eat the eggs, whatever. Um, I did have this, I forgot what it was, but there was like this horrific Easter bunny that was trying to kick everybody's ass. I can't remember what that was from, but yeah, that kind of screwed me up. And this was not as a child. This was in my young adult, like not too long ago. Easter bunny trying to whoop people's ass kind of tore me up. Or maybe it wasn't the Easter bunny. I think I'm thinking about that movie where dude was traveling through time and he kept seeing that demented ass bunny rabbit. What was the name of that movie? It was a great movie, great film. But yeah, that bunny freaked me out. But yeah, as I was saying, the reason why Frank is specifically wearing purple on this day, yes, Donnie Darko, that's it. But yeah, the reason why Frank is wearing purple is because Baron Zemo wears purple. And that's all you need to understand. Baron Zemo wears purple, and he wears purple like no other. Yes, we know the Joker wears purple, but Baron Zemo is just on point. Style is just ridiculous. So, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Frank and I are happy that you are here on the Amby Warhol show with me. We are going to have a good time as usual. We're going to talk some shit. We're going to get into some geeky goodies. We're going to dig into some tender morsels about the things that I love and hopefully the things that you love too. And let's get this done, shall we? This past week, it's starting to get into that this season of a lot of activities, a lot of movies, a lot of shows, a lot of things to love and a lot of things to enjoy. This past week, Godzilla versus Kong came out, and Godzilla versus Kong, aka Mollywop, that movie was it was what it was supposed to be. A lot of people are critiquing the fact that the tone of this movie in terms of the human element was different. And I 100% agree. I was not a fan of the human element. I saw all of the tropes that they did in this movie a million times over in I mean, the conspiracy theorist guy who's on the radio talking his talk. We saw that in Independence Day. We saw that in 2012. We've seen that so many times. So, from a writer's perspective, Godzilla versus Kong was not up to standard with Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, or Godzilla King of the Monsters. Mostly because it was very Transformers, Michael Bayish in the way that they threw these goofy ass humans into it, and it was pointless for them considering the way the human element in the other episodes of this monsterverse were presented. These people were silly. They were, I guess, supposed to be, as Handel said, comic relief. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't like them. It just didn't move me, but I didn't care because I mean, did anybody actually turn on Godzilla versus Kong for anything other than the fucking money that Kong got? Now I know some of y'all are Kong fans. That's great. I was a Mike Tyson fan when he got knocked the fuck out. But nonetheless, just like Undertaker, everybody loses. And Kong lost. Kong lost hard. He lost heavy. Hey, there's no spoilers in Godzilla versus Kong. If anyone thought Godzilla was going to lose, I was worried that the writers was gonna fuck it up and have Godzilla lose because I mean they threw that generic ass human element in there with all that ridiculousness. The movie was filled with exposition upon exposition, which was just annoying as fuck. I despise exposition. I despise when an actor literally says something to explain what is observable if the movie's presented correctly, if the scenes are set up right. They literally come in there like, oh, I used 80% tranquilizer on Kong, so we need him awake, but not constantly awake. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't care. I could have figured that out on my own. It was kind of simple. You got the collar on them, you got the green fluid in the collar. There's some things that are just common. So the movie, anytime a human spoke, I did not like the movie. I was just sitting there waiting with bated breath for some ass whooping. And when ass whooping finally came in the form of Kong doing so, first of all, like let me just get this out the way. Did anybody else feel like they were watching a Disney movie when the movie started? Like seriously, like when Godzilla versus Kong started, and Kong is all waking up and it's all like this goofy ass music. It was like immediately I was like, oh, trying to make us sympathize with Kong. Great, go for it. Kong's still gonna get his ass whooped. So they spun you and made you think like it's gonna be all Kong, Kong, Kong. And again, Kong got mollywopped as expected. But not only did he get mollywopped, can we take a moment and just like recognize there's levels to Godzilla's pissed. There's Godzilla pissed and irritated, like in the first Godzilla when he was fighting Muto. After he got double teamed enough times, he went there. He got heavily pissed, annoyed even, and he handled those Mutos, and then he beheaded one with the fire breath down the throat. That was cool. Then you get into Godzilla King of the Monsters. In that movie, you saw an element of like like because obviously the Mutos weren't necessarily challenging Godzilla as much as they were just trying to do their thing and populate because they're big ass insects and insects just have a lot of babies and live their mediocre lives. But Ghidorah, Monster Zero, was trying to take the throne, and Godzilla reacted in kind. We saw Godzilla with speed, we saw Godzilla with strength, and we saw Godzilla go Super Saiyan. That was cool, right? But this movie, I never thought I would see Godzilla doing MMA. Godzilla was handling Kong. I mean, literally handling him. And Kong had an axe. Kong shoved trees down his throat. Kong was doing everything he can. Kong got shot in the back. Godzilla gave no fucks. So the if you go through these moments and you go from the first fight on the ship, Godzilla tried to drown his ass, honestly. And I think that was more so Kong got the residuals of what already had pissed off, what Godzilla was already pissed off about, which was Apex and their whole building of the mech and using elements of Ghidorah. So he was already irritated from the jump of the movie, and he was attacking they shit, and he was shutting them down. He was on his way to Hong Kong to get to that other facility when he came across, Kong on their quest for fire. And Kong just happened to catch Godzilla on a bad day, and he was going to drown Kong had humans not interfered. Which I get that because they needed Kong to find his power source, even though nobody knew why except for the guy. And long story short, after that, Godzilla leaves Kong half. He almost drowned. He's just laying there, just beat fuck up again for the first time. And then we go later where Godzilla's still on his mission trying to get to this facility in Hong Kong. And in classic form, Godzilla stops like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Oh no, you did not take them humans to the center of the earth, you stupid fuck. And he blasts a hole straight down into the inner earth, into hollow earth. And that moment was like let you know right then and there, like there's certain things that you just don't do. And obviously Kong violated a code. But as we know, Godzilla is not a complete, just a mindless animal. The only reason why he did not murk Kong was at that point he understood that Godzilla was in fact working with humans and Godzilla likes his pets. So he was like, well, any friend of my pets technically is a friend of mine, right? So when Godzilla stomped him, I mean, murked him, MMA'd him, dislocated his shoulder, put him on his ass, and basically left him for dead. He actually nodded after, was like, "Good fight, my nigga, but no, you ain't up for it. You wasn't up for the challenge. Don't bring that shit to my door no more. I don't want to see you around here no more. Don't bring your ass on my block no more." So Kong's fucked up, half dead, and thereafter, here go the humans again. Realizing that Mecha Godzilla, as it was called, was again, we're mollywopped, because that's the name of the movie, in my opinion. The movie was just called The Mollywop. And Godzilla was getting mollywopped like never before. And I mean, this Mecha Godzilla, besides being a cheating fuck, was just like handling, like, he had so many Monster Debo. There it is, Monster Debo. He had so many like tricks up his sleeve. Like, I mean, from the missiles to whatever, to the propulsion to make him go faster, to the whatever the hell the fists were doing glowing blue when he would hit him, to the shooting the like literally having the same laser blast. I mean, this mofo was coming for Zilla. Like, Zilla ain't have no ends. And it was like where no one seems to want to give Godzilla a fair one at this point. Kong pulling weapons out, Kong using everything he can get his hands on and jumping across everything. Mecha just didn't give a fuck. Mecha was just like, "Yo, I remember you. You the motherfucker that killed me." Assuming, because the conjecture and the exposition was weak as fuck in this moment, but I assume that there's a kaiju brain, meaning a Monster Zero brain somewhere connected to the or actually inside of the mecha, assuming they did it like the other movies where Mecha Godzilla had skeletals of previous iterations. But I don't. They really didn't give us much of anything. Side note: if I had the chance, if I was writing this, all it would have took was a simple scene, a very straightforward scene, where you have the programmers dealing with some blah 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 typing on the screen to help program Mecha Godzilla and to make sure everything is optimized. And there's random ghost code that appears identifying that someone else's consciousness is participating in Mecha Godzilla. All you needed was one scene showing some ghost code showing up in programming. That ghost code, all it's got to do is be like, "Yo, fuck Godzilla. I'm gonna kill that motherfucker when I see him." That's all I had to show up inside of the ghost code. Fuck that nigga. And we would have understood, oh shit, that's Monster Zero. Now I get it. But they kind of left you to whatever, whatever, whatever. So yeah, the humans wake up Kong, and then he becomes the hero. He saves the day. He's doing his jump on the back elements. And there was a brief moment where Kong and Zilla were double teaming, like they kept each other's arm, like the mucker's arms from hitting each other. But then you got this moment where it was clear that Mecha didn't give a fuck about Kong. He immediately, as soon as he broke them off of him, he turned right back on Zilla, like, "Yo, it's you. It's you, the motherfucker. I'm after you. I'm your Huckleberry. Let's go." And so Kong had to go get his axe and this thing. And then, of course, smart ass Godzilla was like, "Aha! I know what that axe is for." And he lights up the axe, and then the rest is history. And, the movie ends. Then Godzilla reminds Kong, "Hey, I know you just whooped his ass and you helped me. Gratitude, which is why I ain't just burnt, like, roasting your ass on sight. But put that motherfucking axe down and humble yourself, bitch." And Kong did. Kong was like, "Yes, sir. I don't want no smoke." And Godzilla was like, "Bet. I see you learn," and walks off. I appreciated the fact that they made it clear that whole Kong bows to no one. Kong fucking bowed. Kong fucking yielded. Kong put that axe down with the swiftness and was like, "All right, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. I'm good." And I think that that was well done, because that if Kong didn't bow, the fact of the matter is that Zilla would have to just like straight roast him, and humans would be eating meat for generations probably off of that mofo. But yeah, so nutshell, Godzilla versus Kong, aka the Mollywop, was an entertaining, fun movie. Just ignore the human parts. In fact, fast forward through the human parts and just go right to the scenes wherever Godzilla or Kong or something interesting like that shows up. and you'll have a good time. Otherwise, you'll just be sitting there waiting for those moments. Like, when is it going to get good? When is it going to get good? So, yeah, man, great, simple flick. Now, Invincible, Invincible. Let's talk about the good Invincible. Invincible. This last episode is demonstrating that this is a show. It's its own show. It is not the comics. It definitely has the comic elements in it, but it's doing its own thing now. It's doing its own thing now. The Invincible flick, I mean, Invincible episode 4 was heavy. Was heavy. It was ridiculous, but it was heavy, and I appreciated it for a lot of different reasons. When we get everybody in later, when we get Fly Nerd Group and everybody on, when we get K Max on, we'll talk about more of Invincible. But for now, if you're not watching Invincible, watch Invincible. That shit is great. And it just keeps getting better and it keeps getting better. And I think people are starting to really understand what's happening, that we're looking at a renaissance in animation, and it's starting to pick up steam. There's and when I say animation, obviously I'm speaking about American animation, because anime is good. Anime's been good and anime ain't going nowhere. But American animation is starting to really get back into form where we're getting quality adult content, and adult content from the sense of not content. I'm like, not no diss to him. Oh, but Seth content. It was good. It was good. Watch. So if you haven't watched it yet, watch them. But definitely, episode 4 is good, and we'll talk about that on the second segment when we get everybody in. So now, let's get to what we really here for, and let's talk about the goodies. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 3, called The Power Broker. And this episode is very interesting for a lot of different reasons. When this show is interesting, and it's something that I'm really paying close attention to and realizing with this series. Tell me if anybody else notices this. There is actually nothing but gray area and gray characters, neutral characters throughout. There are no actual heroes and there are no actual villains. Like, there's zilch. There are none. No heroes, no villains. There are just people trying to navigate this post-blip world and trying to figure out where they belong. Very similar to what happened with Wanda in WandaVision, where she wasn't necessarily doing things in the greater good of the people as much as self-serving, and very much she was the villain to her own heroism, if that makes sense. And this show is kind of playing in that same sandbox. We've got this group of people known as the Global Repatriation Council, the GRC. And it starts with this crazy commercial. And this commercial is dealing with the fact that they're supposed to be helping the blip. And they use these terms, reset, restore, and rebuild, which is very, very, very timely and on point, just for the simple fact. For those who don't know, if you don't know what the Great Reset is, I won't get into that now, but look into the Great Reset and you will understand just how um, close to our real situation right now the Global Repatriation Council is in relation to what's happening with us and post-pandemic. But everybody on this show, they're neither a hero nor a villain. They're just all walking that tightrope line where any action could lean them this way, could lean them that way. So we start with Walker trying to flex. He takes down a place, trying to find the flag smashers, and he locates a safe house. And when he steps in, and he's not getting the respect that he thinks he's deserved as Cap, because he's got the shield, he has this moment and he's like, "Oh, do you know who I am?" And he weakly pushes the guy up against the post. And the dude was like, "I don't give no fuck, nigga." Like, he didn't care. Like you're nobody. You're Walker, and you're not even Walker because you're not a Texas Ranger. So fuck you. So this dude is like, it's supposed to be representation of the hero, but he's not. But he's not doing anything bad either. He's just not a hero. He's nothing. He's just, again, he's one, as you can, this scene is setting up what I believe is Walker's demise into darkness and his descent into his quest for power, um, from the super soldier serum, so that he can prove that he's worthy of the shield by becoming a super soldier. And I think that the super soldier serum will probably make him a little loofy, a little off, and he'll have a little more aggression. We saw he has aggression already. We already know from the first episode when his boy, Battlestar, was telling him like, "Hey, this is no longer, you're no longer in situations you can punch your way out of." So we know what kind of man he is, and that's the difference between him and Rogers, is that Rogers was in fact a good man. This dude is just a good soldier. So he's just out to whoop ass, and he's playing that line right now where he's on his way down. So what we find is that the Flag Smashers are actually giving shelter to displaced people, and they're also snatching resources from GRC to also aid people. Now, here's the interesting part: the Flag Smashers are not giving aid to people affected by the blip. What we've come to determine is that the GRC is actually catering to the blip and actually taking resources from the people who were never gone, taking opportunity away from the people who had been here the entire time to give it to the people who blipped. And I think that's ultimately what's got the Flag Smashers pissed. Um, Basically, the Flag Smashers, again, are a gray area. Their intent is not world domination. We even had a heartfelt moment where we saw them talking, and it was admitted that one of them, the main character, wants to be a teacher. They're really normal people who see that there's an inequality taking place in the world's post blip, because the government, particularly the GRC, is not focused on people that are been struggling for the last 5 years, but just catering to these blipped people. So when I paid attention to the fact that they were giving shelter to displaced people, the question is, displaced from what? The only thing they could be displaced from would actually be displaced from blipped people who have come back and now demand whatever they had lost because they were gone. So now imagine, during the blip, there's this abandoned home for 3-4 years, or maybe there's these resources that I was able to share in and have amicable supply of. Now the people who were blipped come back, and suddenly food is being literally taken out of my mouth. Homes are literally being snatched from people. Jobs are literally being, no, this goes back to them because they had the job before the blip. So a lot of people are being disenfranchised and losing their social equality inside of society. So Flag Smashers might be onto something. So once again, gray area. More gray area, we get to Bucky. Bucky's a fucking genius. So when they go to visit Zemo, Bucky already had the plan. We know this. But Bucky, playing that gray area, breaks Zemo out of prison, or hypothetically breaks him out of prison. Masterful plan, brilliantly done. And the worst part about it is Sam is not with the shits. He ain't down for this. But when Bucky presents it to him, what is he gonna do? It's already done, and it can't be denied. Like Bucky's on point, and Bucky was right. We need Zemo. Zemo it comes into this moment, into this episode. We know him as the villain. He's the guy that took down the Avengers. Once again, he took down the Avengers not because he's just a villain for villain's sake, but because he believed that the Avengers themselves were a threat and a problem. Specifically, as he identified in the conversation that they had later in the episode, what happens when you deify, or when you take an icon like Cap and put him on a pedestal, and you ignore his flaws? And then he said, "Wars are fought, cities fly, etc., etc." His whole campaign was about these autonomous, independent individuals with powers making decisions that affect the rest of the world without consequence. he in fact was the embodiment of the Sokovia Accords, himself being a victim of the Avengers bullshit. So Zemo is a gray area character, and this episode proves it because he was as he's as much the Falcon as he is the Winter Soldier. Like he has the moral position that is worthy and justifiable, just like the Flag Smashers, excuse me. But he also has that edge, like the Winter Soldier, where he'll get his hands dirty if he got to get shit done. And you know, it's just a dangerous territory. Yeah, Zemo had everything to do with Black Panther's father being killed. He triggered the bomb. He set the bomb that blew up at the United Nations that killed T'Chaka, King T'Chaka, and framed Bucky for it. That is exactly what he did. But if we're gonna mention things in that capacity, we also have to remember Avengers have killed people in their efforts to do what was best in their opinion as well. So he's no different than them, except that, again, he went against the Avengers and that's supposed to be bad. But in this moment, you know, when Zemo's out, we start to discover that, as I was so happy to find out that this is in fact Baron Zemo. Fucking Baron Zemo. Let's just take a moment to take that in because it's Baron fucking Zemo. Baron fucking Zemo. Dude he's wealthy. He's fly. Like he's got style. He's got money. He's got a butler. He's got a fucking private jet. He was on point. Zemo is a beast, and I love him. So Zemo steps in with style. And let's just take a moment to appreciate the style of Zemo. Let's take a moment to appreciate the mask because now it's understood why he wears the mask. He wears the mask or he has a mask because he actually is famous. He's well known. He said that before his country was destroyed, he was practically royalty. He wears the mask for the simple fact that he can't be seen when he do his dirt. So as we saw later on, when it comes time to kick ass, he puts on the mask. So one thing I did like about the way they presented, if you count this episode, how many times Zemo said my apologies or I'm sorry, like he's hella polite. He's like real cultured. He's real cool. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt." In fact, yeah, Zemo is a fucking nerd. So, so you get to this moment where Zemo with his extensive knowledge of the game, Zemo shows up with Sam and Bucky and takes them to Madripoor. Madripoor, for those who don't know, is gangster. Like it is gangster as it gets. It is a no extradition, free autonomous zone where the good, the bad, and the ugly get to hang out and be themselves without any restrictions. So if you're a bad guy, you're gonna hang in Madripoor and you're gonna make your deals in Madripoor. If you are in hiding like a Sharon Carter, you're gonna go to Madripoor because there's no extradition. And Madripoor is divided into high town and low town. High town is where the aristocrats and the wealthy hang, and the low town is where the shit is. That's where the muck is. That's where the grime is. So Zemo takes them there, and there's this moment where Sam is like walking, looking. He's particularly fly in this moment. Very very stylish, and he says, "I look like a pimp." And Zemo, in with all his gangster, it's like only an American would assume that a fashion forward black man looks like a pimp. Shut that shit down. Shut that shit down totally. And I appreciated that moment because again, conversations about style. This entire episode was all about style. Everything they was doing in this was style, was style, was style. They got it in. So now we realize that through Zemo's exposition that Sam was playing Smiling Tiger. And what's cool about Conrad Mack is that while he's a tertiary character, he's got skill sets in his own right. And the real Smiling Tiger doesn't really speak. He kind of grunts and moans and like he kind of and nods and things like that. But the fact that they threw him in there, which means that there's also left hand, the left hand is going to be in this, and maybe Universal Wellspring, and maybe some other things can chat. So they're opening up this Marvel universe with singular random moments of this character, that character, this character. Mention the Power Broker here. You got the Flag Smashers over there. You've got all these characters that then attach to other people. And then you've got this place, Madripoor, which comic-wise is huge. The comics like Madripoor. So first of all, understand, Madripoor is where Magneto set up shop when he was helping, for lack of a better word, disenfranchised mutants. He set up a mansion that all the different mutants, when they're in hiding, could go to. So Madripoor is important on that front. Madripoor is also a place where Logan liked to hang out and drink because, and that's where he spent a lot of his time making money kicking people's asses in the ring, just because he could. So Madripoor, Smiling Tiger, we're getting the full gambit in this show, and it's great. I love it, and I'm ready for more. So now we're in here. We've got them, Winter Soldier playing Winter Soldier, being Winter Soldier, pretending to still be programmed with under the command of a certain Baron Zemo. And so they're playing on this. There's this moment where Zemo, introduces, that they're there, and Sam gets this fucked up drink. I don't know what the hell was in that drink. Something out of a snake. I hope it wasn't a snake egg, but whatever it was, fucked up. But then he's like, he sits the Winter Soldier on people just to demonstrate that they real and don't fuck with them. So they traveling through all of this in like this crazy personification of trying to pretend to be more than what they are. Again, gray area, because each one of these characters are gray area. And they're doing dirt inside of Madripoor. They're getting grimy. So they go and they finally meet Selby. Selby's like one of the top tier people in Hightown, or should I say Lowtown. Selby kind of tells them like, "Yo, I was planning to kill you, Zemo, but you got an offer. Let's talk about it." And they're having this dialogue about figure out the Power Broker and what's going on. And so she's giving them information, and he's offering the Winter Soldier. Then Sam, laughing his ass off inside. I know he was like, "Why the fuck are you calling me now?" But he gets a call from his sister, and then she gives away the goods. She calls him Sam on the phone, and he could have easily resolved that like, "I'm in the middle of a deal right now, like, call me later. Smiling Tiger's busy." But he didn't say anything like that, and she probably was too stupid to catch on anyway, because clearly his tone and the things that he was saying, she wasn't picking up on. So they get exposed. They're about to be killed, and someone shoots Selby. Just straight snipes her. She's dead. So now all hell breaks loose because there's bounties on their head as a result. And I thought that was really, really trippy, because we got a mystery now. In the middle of all this, someone has killed Selby while they were meeting with Selby, because Selby was giving information on the Power Broker. This is important. She's giving exposition on Power Broker, telling them about what's going on, about the serum, about what's happening, the doctor, Dr. Wilfred Nagel or whatever. And then she dies. So someone set that up. Then they're on the run, and they get rescued by, all of a sudden, Sharon, Agent 13. So Sharon Carter pops up, and she's all ready to pop off on Baron Zemo. And they're like, no, we need him. He's important. This, that, and the boo up the bam. So they're like, cool, bet. Let's go over here. They run over there, and they end up in her place in Hightown. She's got all this art. Like, somehow she's been doing well for herself in there. She's doing great. Like, she's getting it in. She's got money. She's got wealth. She's got power. So now she's telling them, "Look, I'm gonna make some moves, and I'm gonna figure out this, that, and the third. Y'all go have a good time at my party where my clients are." Okay, Sharon, you running shit, huh? In Hightown, not in Lowtown, in Hightown. You a boss. Okay, we watching you. So She finds out where the Dr. Nagel is. They go to Dr. Nagel. He's inside of a container, and immediately you're like, this dude like, kind of like not worried about them, but scared of the Winter Soldier, but not. And he reveals, 20 vials were taken from him, and he was working on this. And then when the blip happened, he disappeared. Then when he came back, he said the power broker helped him start working on it again. So we're talking about this is a short amount of time. This all just happened since he's come back, which is very interesting. So let's talk about this for a minute. We now know that the power broker obviously is someone who doesn't seem to have respect for the superheroes of the world, because they're brokering power. They're willing to give people the super soldier serum just to disrupt the balance in society. So that sounds like somebody that is very jaded, someone that is very cynical. Sounds like Sharon. So because Sharon had that whole conversation with all of them about how they're still trying to be these superheroes, and these superheroes are pointless in the greater scheme of things, and all that shit they need to stay away. But through all this, so Sharon's outside, the bounty hunters are coming, and she's fighting them off like very, 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 very fashionable, like with her fly leather coat. Yet another stylish individual in this episode. And so she murks all the people outside wickedly, like hardcore. And then she dips and tells them, yo, we got to bounce. Zemo takes the opportunity to off Dr. Nagel, because Zemo don't give no fuck. Zemo's like, you making super soldier serum? I'm not with that shit. You not going to make super soldier serum for nobody else. And off them. Now they're like, oh, why'd you do that? Particularly, it was interesting because Sharon was upset by that. Why would Sharon give a fuck if that guy was killed or not? She just accepted this supposedly. Why she care if this doctor was killed? She ain't working in that capacity no more. I think that she's the power broker. So you go past this point, they're outside. Sam and Buck have this lethal weapon moment where they're arguing about the right way to go and the way to fight and how to do this thing and this, that, and the third. And Zemo springs into action. Does his mask because he can't be seen because he's the famous Baron. And he goes and he whoops ass and he takes out the remaining bounty hunters. And then he pulls up in a fly little classic car that he saw. And again, they're about to leave. Sharon says, no, I'm not going to go. They bounce. Sharon goes to her people, and what does she say immediately? Sharon was like, okay, we got a couple of big problems. Now, we've been watching Sharon up to this point. We ain't seen nothing that's supposedly related to her. Why the fuck would there be a problem except for the fact that she's the power broker, the guy that's funding and making her serum, making sure that shit exists? He's gone, so no more serum. And now she got to figure a bunch of things out. This shit is interesting because if Sharon is in fact the power broker, that's going to be a hell of a twist on the character, a hell of a spin. But it's also going to demonstrate all these different moments. If you go back through this episode is called The Power Broker, and this is also the episode that Sharon was revealed in. The last thing that she told them, or one of the things that she told them at a certain point during the conversation, was she told them, steer clear of this for your own safety. And it's like, who the fuck are you to tell the Winter Soldier and Sam to steer clear for your own safety? How the fuck do you know what's going on? Either you work for the power broker or you are the power broker. So she's that mofo right now. I think that she, in that 5 years, she showed up the badass that she is with the knowledge and intel of the game that she has, being CIA, being SHIELD. She went up in there and she conquered that bitch. She took it over. She made Magic pull her bitch. She said, this is my shit, yield. She put her foot down on Magic's chest and was like, say something, do something. Straight Godzilla shit. So we find out that also in this particular episode that on this particular version of the power serum or the super soldier serum came from Isaiah's blood, which is just more fucked upness because we see that the reality of him and the torture and experience that he went through is still flowing through and weaving through the consequences up to today. And it's really fucked up. So Sharon's now gone. These guys are off to figure out their next step. They're having their conversation, and then Bucky spots Wakanda tech on the ground. And he followed the Wakanda tech, the little breadcrumbs. Obviously, she led him, she was leading him. And we see Ayo around the corner. Ayo around the corner. Stylish as fuck. Florence Kasumba, everybody. Look her up. She is the top Dora Milaje under Okoye. And she is the badass that basically told Black Widow, move or be moved. Without flinching. Without even a hint of concern for her own well-being. And I'm pretty sure she would have put Black Widow on her ass. So the episode ended dramatically and extremely chaotically, just because of the fact that we now know another element that's playing into this series, which is Wakanda. And whether Ayo is coming there of her own free will, or she's there because of the orders. She's there to get revenge, and we know why, because she was there when King T'Chaka was killed. She would have been one of his bodyguards when in that instance, and so that's on her, and thus she's going to be pissed. So I'm excited for Ayo's character being brought in, and I'm really excited the fact that I get to see Florence Kasumba. That's cool. It's about to be serious. So now, with that being said, I want to know how many people think that the power broker is in fact Sharon Carter, or as K-Max says, just an affiliate of the power broker. I'm leaning towards her being the actual power broker, obviously, but I want to know what y'all think. So let's open up the forum for this next segment. I'm going to stop this feed, and then I'm going to start the feed again because we only have 10 minutes, and then of course IG Live is going to cut this off. So stay tuned and reel back in right after this. Peace. And for those that were watching me on Facebook or for actually YouTube, because I am on YouTube as well.